Welcome to Sports Talk with RNJ. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin and Alfrio. We got a busy Week 10 in the NFL, but we got to start with the trade deadline yesterday. And the Jets, they were busy. They acquired 3 first-round picks yesterday. Three first-round picks yesterday. And we'll start with their trade with the Cowboys, where the Cowboys traded for Quentin Williams and they gave the Jets a second-round pick this year and a first-round pick in 2027. And for the Cowboys, they needed a guy on that defense. They needed a guy on defense. Yeah, do I think this is too much for Quentin Williams? Yes, but the Cowboys were desperate for a guy on defense. They needed a guy on defense, and they got a guy on defense. So he's definitely going to help them. Now, is he as good? He's really good against the run. He's really good against the run, but he's not as good as he used to be getting to the quarterback. But he still helps the defense. With a defense that is really struggling right now. You could argue this is the worst defense in football outside of the Cincinnati Bengals. So he's a guy that's going to help that defense. And Justin, before we talk about what the Cowboys could do this year with Quinn Williams, I'll get your thoughts on the trade.
For the Jets, look, he wanted out, sounded like, and you got a couple picks, good picks for him in a spot where they really need to rebuild. So for the Jets angle, yeah, you got pretty good value out of it. For the Cowboys, yeah, like it helps. 'Cause, yeah, they need a lot of help on that defense. Now they got him, Kenny Clark up front. Up front. But like for this year, we'll see about the Cowboys. But they may have dug themselves in too deep a hole here to climb out of with how bad their defense has been playing. But yeah, for the Cowboys, they needed talent. They probably gave up a little bit too much, but desperate times calls for desperate measures for the Cowboys, and that's exactly what they did.
Exactly. And now, yeah, we talked about the Cowboys digging themselves a hole. They have. They're the 11th seed right now in the NFC. Behind teams like the teams they lost to, the Bears and the Panthers. They lost to those teams. They're still ahead of the Cardinals by half a game, but they're the 11th seed in the NFC. And the question is with this trade, can it get them to the playoffs this year? And I'm going to say no, because coming out of the bye, I think they could beat the Raiders. But if you look at their schedule, there's 3 games after that Raider game. And I know 2 of the 3 are home, but they got the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Lions. Those are brutal games. Brutal games. Now, it softens up after that. They got the Vikings at home. They got the Vikings at home. They do have the Chargers, too. And it doesn't soften up that much because they got the Vikings and Chargers. Then at the end, they do have the Commanders and Giants. But if you look at that, if you look at that 5-game stretch after that Raider game. Eagles, I know it is at home, but they got the Eagles, Chiefs on Thanksgiving, Lions on a Thursday night in Detroit, Vikings at home and Chargers at home. I know they're home games, but that's still a brutal 5-game stretch for the Cowboys, and that's why I'm gonna say no. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they dug themselves too deep of a hole. Quentin Williams is gonna help them, but I don't see this being a team that's going to win more than 8 games. I don't think this team's going to win more than 8 games. That's why I'm going to say no. I don't think they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't think they are either. I just think they're dug themselves too deep a hole. I think the Quinn Williams trade helps them for the future. And let's start next year. So for them, for the Cowboys, I don't think they're a playoff team. Thanks to the NFL too for shoving them down our throats the next pretty much the rest of the year.
I know. Look at all the national games. Got a 4:25 game against the Eagles. Thanksgiving Day against the Chiefs. But don't forget Monday night against the Raiders. Monday night against the Raiders. Thanksgiving game against the Chiefs. Thursday night game against the Lions. Sunday night game against Minnesota. Then they do the Chargers is a 1:00 game. Christmas Day game against Washington and the Giants. Yeah. If you look at their last 8 games, 6 of their last 8 are 5 of them are national games, and then one of them is the 4:25 game on Fox. They are shoving them down our throats. They're shoving a 3-5-1 team down our throats.
Yep. Yes, they are. We'd love to see them flex some out, but I know they won't because it's Dallas. So I know it. But yeah, they're really shoving them down the throat the next couple of weeks. At least they score points. At least they're exciting. But yeah, I still don't think that defense is great, and still just that defense still just isn't good enough. And yeah, I'm with you. They've dug themselves in too deep a hole with that schedule coming up. I don't think they'll be able to get out of it.
I don't think so either. I don't think so. I don't think so either. I think that. Yeah, there's a good chance they sweep the Commanders and the Giants. They might end up beating the Vikings. Maybe they beat Maybe they'll beat the Raiders. So that's a given. They'll probably sweep. There's a good chance they'll sweep the Commanders and Giants with Jay Daniels out and with the way the Giants are playing. Maybe they'll beat Minnesota. But again, this is it's still with the hole they're in and the way their defense has been playing. It's still maybe it's a 7-8 win team at best.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it absolutely is. Because some of those teams too that they play are gonna put up points and, can your offense keep up? And, like an Eagles game, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Vikings looked good last week. So it's gonna be tough, like, I don't think that defense is still gonna be able to make a big stop against, like, the Jalen Hurts or the Patrick Mahomes of the world. So, yeah, maybe they're in some of those games totally with their offense, but, their offense was a little bit underwhelming the other night. So, yeah, for Dallas, it's just with that schedule, with some of those offenses they got to face, it's just too tough a hole to climb out of.
It definitely is. Definitely is. Now the Jets made an even bigger move before they traded Quentin Williams, and that was Sauce Gardner, who they traded to the Colts for 2 first-round picks. Now Sauce Gardner's a good player. He ain't worth 2 first-round picks. There's no way he's worth 2 first-round picks. But the Colts, they really want to win it this year. It just shows you they're really going for it. Give up their 2026 first-round pick and their 2027 first-round pick for Sauce Gardner. And if you look at this Colts roster, this is a really good roster right now. It's a really good roster. If you look at, the offense is probably arguably the best offensive line in football. You got a guy who could be the offensive rookie of the year in Tyler Warren. He's playing really well. Got a great top running back in Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones struggled last week, but overall he's had a really good season. And you look at their defense; it's definitely improved, especially their pass defense. Especially their Latu has turned into a pretty good pick. You obviously got DeForest Buckner on that D line. Kwity Paye's been good against the run, and that secondary. Cameron Bynum has played well there too, and now you add Sauce Gardner. Before I get to what where you think the Colts are going to go this year, first I want to get your thoughts on the trade. I think the Colts gave up a lot for Sauce Gardner, but he definitely improves that secondary. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Colts there, yeah, they gave up way too much. But look, if you're the Jets, because they just signed him in the offseason, so his extension didn't even kick in yet.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, Jets got a great haul with these 2 deals. Do the Jet fans really trust anybody in that organization to hit on any of those picks?
That's the thing.
I don't know.
That's the thing. I know it's a new regime, but for years and years and years and years, the Jets have screwed it up. For years and years and years. Darren Muji, yes, it's a little unfair saying that you don't trust him, but seeing the history of the organization and seeing the way it's gone, I get Jet fans for doubting what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's another rebuild here that's going to take quite a few years to get going, and hopefully they can hit on all of them. But we'll see. Like, I don't know if that quarterback's out there this year. I might wait till next year and get Julian Sayin. I'd maybe pass on these, so that's maybe what I would do if I'm in the Jets front office, but we'll see if they do, like, go get Mendoza or something. So, for the Jets standpoint, great haul, but yeah, now you got to capitalize on those picks, which I don't know if they will. On the Colts side of things, I'm with you. They're going for it. And in a year where the Chiefs already have 4 losses, the Bills look good last week, but they're still the Bills. They haven't got over the top. The same thing with the Ravens. They have to get there first. You got a team in like New England, but they're kind of in the Colts spot. It's not really a roster that has much playoff experience here. So for the Colts, yeah, they're really going for it. They're trying to win it all this year. And, they gave up a lot here. I like Sauce Gardner. I don't think he's great. I think he's a horrible tackler. But hey, he's gonna have a tough matchup going against Drake London this week. We'll see how they're gonna put him to the test right away if he can play coming off the concussion.
You're right. If you can play off the concussion, and the question is, are the Colts Super Bowl contenders with this move? And I think they are. I think you get to put them in that conversation because, like you said, looking at the rest of the AFC, the Bills, yes, they're up there with them, but you look at the rest. You look at the rest of the AFC with the Chiefs with 4 losses. The Ravens have struggled this year. And you look at their division. I mean, the Texans have struggled. The Jaguars are really buying them at 5-3. I mean, so you look at this, and then the Broncos at 7-2. They're good. Are they a great team? So, and then they beat the Broncos earlier in the season too. So, I think you have to say they are a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. They think the way they're playing, they definitely are. And yeah, Broncos, I forgot to put them in, but yeah, with their offense right now, I haven't loved what I've seen. So yeah, absolutely. It's a team that's got a chance, and I think they kind of know that this might be the one year where Kansas City's got a couple of, already has like 4 losses. That's not normally going to happen, and other teams like New England, you think is going to get better. the Ravens have been so banged up. So this is definitely kind of the year for the Colts that they really want to make a move here, and they absolutely did. So I'm with you. I think they're Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I would agree. And we'll take this maybe a step. We'll take this a step further. Are they the favorite to go? Are they the favorite to go to the Super Bowl in the NFC? In the AFC, I mean, and I'm going to say no. I'm going with the Bills. I think the Bills proved on Sunday that they are the favorite because of their O-line, their run game, and their defense is not great, but it's good enough. And they got the second best player in football. So I would not say they're the favorite. I'm still going to go with the Bills, who I picked before the season to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not. I don't have the Colts as a favorite. I'm still gonna have the Chiefs until I see somebody knock them off.
Wow, at 5-4.
Yeah, because I know they're gonna get in, and who's gonna knock them off? That's the thing. I just don't trust any. Like I know the Bills. The Bills always do in the regular season. Like great win last week, but you never do it in January. When are you gonna do it then? So, um, for me, I still have the Chiefs until somebody knocks them off. Unless it's Tom Brady's taking stats from Patriots on the side. Like he's the only one that's done 50 besides Burrow. But Bengals aren't going to be in that Bengals defense can't get a stop. So I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't think the Colts are the favorite either.
No, but I think what's been established this year is they are, even with Daniel Jones, their quarterback. I still think they are contenders because of the Ravens and Chiefs not being as good this year. So I would take them as Super Bowl contenders. Now, speaking of the Colts, they play. This is the first time we're really going to see them in a national game. They play the game in Germany this week against the Falcons. And I think the Colts win this. I think they win it by double digits. I think they contain Bijan Robinson. I think they force a couple turnovers. Even if Sauce plays or not, I think they win this game by double digits. And I think on the ground, Jonathan Taylor has a bounce back game here. Last week he was shut down by the Steelers defense. I think they run the ball well against the Falcons. I think Daniel Jones throws a couple touchdowns. And I'm going with the Colts to go to 8-2 here. I got the Colts winning this one 27-17. Justin, you saw the Falcons play last week, and you saw Michael Penix play last week. Can he help the Falcons snap their 3-game losing streak against the Colts?
I think they do keep hanging in there this week, but I have the Colts in this one, 23-20. I think both teams need to give their running back the ball a little bit more. Bijan Robinson only had 12 carries last week for 46 yards. And then, like, the first 3 drives, I think it was, Jonathan Taylor only had 4 carries. So both teams got to get their running backs more involved this week. I was really impressed with the Falcons' young pass rush, with Pearson, the other kid from Georgia. I thought, their pass rush, the guys that they had.
Kalen Walker?
Yeah. I thought those young guys that they got played pretty well last week. They had 5 or 6 sacks against Drake May. So I think they could get some pressure on Daniel Jones. That's exactly what Pittsburgh did last week, and it gave him some problems. So I think this game's close, but I do think the Colts are a little bit better. I trust their coaches have a little bit better. They find a way to win in Germany.
Yeah, I think they do. I think the Colts go to 8-2 this week, beating the Falcons. Now we'll move on to the game of the week this week, and it is the Brady Bowl, and down in Tampa is the 7-2 Patriots against the 6-2 Bucks. This should be a really, really good game here. I think it should be a really good game. But I think what this game is going to come down to is going to be what team runs the football better and what team protects the football better. And I think the Bucks are going to do that, even with their injuries. There's a good chance that Rashid White's not going to play. No, there's a good chance that Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin are not going to play in this game. But I do think Baker Mayfield's been figuring out with those guys all year long. He has been. And I do think this Patriot offensive line the last couple of weeks has been very suspect. And I do think Todd Bowles is good. He's bringing pressure on Drake May. He's going to bring pressure. And I think the Patriots are going to have some trouble in protection, and they're going to have trouble running the football. So I think the Bucs will force a turnover in this game. So I do think Mayfield will make less mistakes than Drake May. I think it comes right down to the end, either with Mayfield with a chance to win the game or the Bucs defense having a chance to win it. And I think they do. I'm going to go with the Bucs here. I'm going to go with the Bucs close. Patriots have been playing great. They've won 6 in a row. I mean, this would tie the longest winning streak they've had. If they win on Sunday, it would tie their winning streak they had 4 years ago when they won 7 in a row. So Patriots have won 6 in a row coming in, but I think the Buccaneers win this one close. I think the Patriots are there, but I think the Bucs win it close. I got the Bucs 24-20 over the Pats. But Justin, can Drake May lead the Pats to their 7th straight win?
Yeah, I don't think they will this week. I got the Bucs as well, 27-24. The Bucs coming off the bye here. Patriots playing their 10th straight game. The Falcons move the ball through the air, especially more there in the second half. And you mentioned it too. The Patriots offensive line's been a turnstile the last couple weeks, and Todd Bowles is going to send a lot of heat. And I do think May's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. He's got to clean a couple things up. Had the fumble there late in the first half, had a pick first time in a couple games. So he's got to play mistake-free football in this one. I think that's going to be tough in this one. But a big proving game for the Patriots. Like this is, the Bucs, one of the best teams in the sport. You've beaten up on a lot of bad teams of late. The Patriots have. This is a game where you got to, you go down to Tampa Bay and knock this team off who's coming off a bye, and you're definitely kind of in the conversation now. So it's a big prove-it game to see where they're at, and we'll see. But I'm a little worried, and I'm a little worried about some of the secondary guys as well. Yeah, can we stop putting slot guys on tight ends, please? Like that's just
Oh wow, yeah. They've
yeah,
been
they
doing
did
that
that a
last
couple
couple
times
weeks.
last
Yeah.
week. Yeah, yeah. Like we need to stop that. So, but I just think Tampa Bay is just a little bit better in this one. I think the Buccaneers pass rush is a difference maker.
Yeah, I think it is too. But you said it's a prove-it game for the Patriots because they beat the Bills early in the year, but we've seen them beat the Bills. Saw it in 2021. We saw it even in 2023. Them beat the Bills. We've seen them beat the Bills. This would be a prove-it game because they would be beating a top team from the NFC. And the question is if they win this game, are they Super Bowl contenders? And if they win this game, there's no question that they're Super Bowl contenders because they would be 7-2 with wins over the Bills and the Bucs on the road, and with their quarterback playing outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I put them right there. You're 8-2. You're feeling good.
I meant
You're
8-2.
playing
My
right.
bad there.
Yeah, no, it's all right. So yeah, you're playing right there with Denver and the Colts for that one seed, and you got to, with your schedule, you got a very good shot to get that one seed coming up. So yeah, I think they will be. And that means Drake May has to outduel Baker Mayfield, who's has become one of the better quarterbacks in the sport. So, I'm with you. They could get this if they can get this one on the road here Sunday. I feel really, really good about our chances of making a run January.
Yeah, I would too. I would. Yeah, if you can win this one, I would too. I mean, if they win this game, even if they probably are already in the top five, but if they win this game, they're definitely in the top five in the AFC, no question. They're there with the Bills. They're there with the Broncos. You still have to put the Chiefs in there. They're in there with the Chiefs, and they're in there with the Colts. If they win this game on Sunday, they're a top five team in the AFC, no question.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They'll be in that discussion. Drake May, I think, could play with each and any one of them. He's probably second, third best player, right? In the MVP voting right now. He's been right there. So yeah, absolutely. And again, like we've talked about it when going back to the Colts, like it's a very winnable conference this year. Like it is. So I know it's a young team that doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. But yeah, it's a team that I think could do it under Drake May, a second-year quarterback, and then Mike Vrabel is just, he's proved that he's one of the best coaches in the sport. And I don't know if you saw it. The player didn't come out. I don't think they announced who the player was, but I guess they had a deal done with the Titans, and the Titans owner didn't want to do business with Vrabel, and she went off on it. So,
Yeah, the Titans made a huge mistake firing Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake looking at what their situation is now because Mike Vrabel's done a phenomenal. He should be he should be like the leading candidate for coach of the year. He's done a phenomenal job this year.
Yeah, he has. He absolutely has. I have him. Yeah, I put him right there with Steichen with the Colts. I even put more. Not really, Todd Bowles with just all the injuries that the Bucs have. I think he could make a case for it too. But yeah, I think he should be right there right to the very end because he's done a great job of turning this thing around. And literally, half a season in here because it's a totally different team and the culture is definitely changing in New England.
Oh, that absolutely has. It absolutely has. A big reason. Quarterbacks help, but most importantly, the coach has been great. The coach has been great. Great fit for them. They made the right move, getting rid of Mayo after 1 year, bringing this guy. He was interested in the job, brought him in. Great. It was a great move by Kraft to turn things around. And now, if they win Sunday, you got to be very, very confident that this team could potentially make a run in January.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the moves that Vrabel's made's been great. I was okay with them not doing anything yesterday. Like the chemistry's great with this team. Vibes are high. I didn't want to give up a ton anyway, so I'm okay with staying pat and seeing what this team constructed right now can do because they got a ton of money to spend this offseason. So, if you want to make a big move, then go ahead. But I'm okay with riding this thing out and not making the big splashy move yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was the right move to stand pat the way they did, and they're in great position to make the playoffs, and that's a really good that's a big step from where they were last year. So yeah, New England's having a really, really good year and got a big game on Sunday in Tampa. Now the biggest story coming out of Week 9 was Jaden Daniels and that gruesome injury against the Seahawks, dislocating his elbow, and he is out indefinitely for the Commanders. And really, the question is now Is it pretty much a foregone conclusion that the Commanders are going to miss the playoffs? And I think absolutely it is. I mean, this week they play the Lions. There's a good chance we'll get our prediction there, but there's a good chance they won't win that game. Yeah, they got the Dolphins, but then they got coming out of the bye. They got Denver. Then they got Minnesota. They got they do the Giants once. They might be able to win that, but then they got the Eagles twice. There's just no way. This is probably going to be right now a 5-6 win team. 5-6 win team. I mean, a big reason for that is the injuries that they fallen off has been the injuries, and they're not as good, especially defensively. They're just not as good. They're just not as good because their defense is not good, and they've had a bunch of injuries. But yeah, there's just to me at this, I think Sunday ended the Commanders' season this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're about cooked on the year. Their defense has been awful this year, and now that without Jaden Daniels, the defense is not going to, it's going to be even tougher on that defense. And Mariota's a decent backup, but again, with how bad that defense is, I just think it's be too much of an ass to keep up with the likes of some of the teams they have coming up. With Denver, Minnesota, the Eagles twice still, and then again we talk about Dallas, and again you already gave up 42 to those guys, so
yeah,
that's. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this would be a rough kind of end here for Washington, and disappointing after all the momentum they had coming onto the year. But hey, go get a cornerback with whatever top pick you're gonna have.
Exactly. It looks like they're going to have a top 10 draft pick, and we'll get to their game this week against the Lions. And I think the Lions win. They were angry I think the Lions are not happy from what happened last week. They lost another division game last week. The Lions are a little bit disappointing at 5-3. I thought they'd be a little bit better than this, losing two games in the division there to the Packers and the Vikings. They haven't been as good in division this year, 5-3. But I think they run the ball well. I think Jared Goff throws a couple touchdowns. I think they forced a couple turnovers for Mariota. I got the Lions winning this by 2 scores. I got the Lions 30-17 over the Commanders. But Justin, can somehow Mariota lead the Commanders to a huge upset at home against the Lions?
No, I'm with you. I got Detroit as well, 31-21. I just think about Daniels. It's just such a tough ask here. The Lions have won 12 straight games coming off of a loss. So revenge game after last year in the playoffs when Washington ran all over them. So I think Goff bounces back, has a phenomenal game because Washington secondary can't cover anything. And I think they, those wide receivers do whatever they want this week. And I think Washington has some success moving the ball, but it's obviously not going to be able to keep up with Jared Goff in this offense. And I expect a huge bounce back game here from Detroit.
Yeah, I think that they bounce back here. I definitely think the Lions will bounce back here, and I know they're not great. Lions aren't great on the road, but I think they bounce back here and beat the Commanders and get to 6-3. Now moving on to we got a Monday night game with 2 first place teams. We got the Eagles at 6-2, and the Packers who had a terrible loss last. 2 really bad losses the Packers have had this year. They lost to the Browns. They lost to the Panthers. Even though the Panthers are okay, but they were two touchdown favorite against the Panthers. But the Eagles and Packers play on Monday Night Football. I think this is a close, competitive game, but I'm going to go Eagles here. I'm going to go Eagles here. I think they're getting some play. They just traded for Jalen Phillips. They could get Nolan Smith back, so I think they're going. And the Packers' offensive line has been very suspect this year. Their running game's been suspect, so I think they sacked Jordan Love a couple times. I think they forced a turnover from Jordan Love, and I think Saquon Barkley's. That game against the Giants was really good, and they've been under center a lot more in offense. Hurts has been under center a lot more, and it's made a difference. I think Saquon has a pretty good game here. I think this is close and competitive, but I'm going to go Eagles here. I'm going to go Eagles 23-20 over the Packers. But Justin, can the Packers get revenge from what happened last year in the postseason and stay on top in the NFC North?
No, I'm going with the Eagles here as well, 23-18. Again with the Packers, we kind of say it every week. Like, they seem to have a ton of talent, and they've really only put it together for for 60 minutes. They put together one true 60-minute performance, and that was week 1 against the Lions. I guess even in that Commanders game, but other than that,
yeah, they really haven't. Because even that Steeler game, the first half, they were down 16-7, and Jordan Love had to bail them out on the 3rd down, and then they got going.
Yeah. So they played a much better second half, and they kind of woke up late last week. Like the Browns game, they kind of we're in a battle here in the 4th quarter. They kind of woke up, but it was a little bit too late in that one too. So, for the Pack, and I just trust the Eagles more in this spot too, because I know it's the NFL, and I could see being the NFL, like the Packers bounce back this week and get the win at home, because that's coming off a bad loss where you shouldn't lose to Carolina at home. I could see it happening, but I just trust the Eagles coming off a bye. Sirianni's 4-0 off coming off the bye week. So I just think the Eagles started to figure out the offense a little bit more. You mentioned that Barkley had the huge game against the Giants. I trust the Eagles just a little bit more than I do the Green Bay Packers right now. And I also just, Jordan Love's going to make a mistake or two. He just does every week, and that could hurt him again in this week.
He definitely does, yeah, and it could definitely hurt him. Yeah, I'm taking the better coach. I think right now Nick Sirianni is a better coach than Matt LaFleur. I got to question what kind of coach Matt LaFleur is at, because this team's got a lot of talent and they're losing games they shouldn't win. And Matt LaFleur, I think he's a good coach, but you cannot call him a great coach for the way this team should be better. In my opinion, this team should be better, and things are just going to get harder for this team. They got the Eagles. They still got to go to Detroit on Thanksgiving. I mean, they still got two with the Vikings. They still got two with the Bears, who are playoff who are teams that are going to be competing for a wild card spot. Things are only going to get tougher for this Packer team, and losses to the Panthers and the Browns definitely make you question. I thought this team would go to the conference championship game at the beginning of the season when they traded for Micah Parsons, but some of their losses really makes you question, really the direction of this team. It really does, because with the talent they have, they shouldn't be losing to teams like the Panthers and the Browns.
They shouldn't be, and I've never been a huge LaFleur guy. Like, ever since that playoff game a couple years ago against the Bucs, where you take the ball out of Rodgers' hands late in the game, and it costs you. Like, I just kind of I haven't loved him since then, and it's kind of like he just I know the toughest thing to do is to get your teams up for games like the Panthers and the Browns, but as a head coach, you have to get them up for those games, and haven't played well. It's like they play down to those teams, and championship teams don't do that. And I know it's a young team, and they have a lot of talent, but they play down this competition at times, and that's on the head coach, and that can't happen. And it has a couple times. It's even happened in the past couple of years, right, where they've lost in games where they shouldn't at home, or they haven't played great. Yeah. So it's kind of been a thing that's trending with the Packers the last couple of years.
It has been, and they got a tough one on Monday night with the Eagles. They could make a statement, all this talk, and I know that they should get rid of the tush push, but all this talk in the offseason about how they want to get rid of the tush push and everything. Here's a chance to prove it. Here's a chance to prove it on Monday night that you're a Super. They got to prove it on Monday night. They got to prove it on Monday night and beat the Eagles. And if they do that, they're a Super Bowl contender. And if they don't, you got to continue to question.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. If they can bounce back this week, beat the Eagles at home, I feel a little bit better about them. But if they go down and they lose again, and the Eagles out tough them, and a couple of tush pushes beat them, and Packers kind of whine and complain like they did during the offseason, then I definitely you still have a lot of questions about the Green Bay Packers.
You definitely do. Now, staying in the NFC North and moving on to it's another NFC North, NFC East matchup, and that is the Bears, who host the Giants this week. And the Giants' defense on Sunday against the 49ers was absolutely pathetic, especially against the run. You saw Deontay Banks get ran over by Brian Robinson. That just set the tone. That just summed up the entire day for the Giants' defense. It was absolutely pathetic. I don't get why Jay Bowen still has a job. Three straight games, you've given up over 30 points. And with the talent you have in your defensive line, that's just flat out unacceptable. It's flat out unacceptable. Brian Daboll should be fired at the end of the season. The Giants really – I know Daboll and Shane found their guy in Jackson Dart, but everything else is an absolute mess. The defense is a disaster. For the talent they have, the defense is a disaster. The offense, really outside of Dart, I know they lost Scatterbo and Neighbors, but the offense, Theo Johnson, he can't catch the ball. The offensive line had back-to-back false starts last week. They had trouble running the football with Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy and Theo Johnson need to step up, because they do not look like good picks right now at all. Really, Jackson Dart is right now. This looks very, very similar to 2019 with the Giants. A head coach that looks like he's just like Pat Shurmur, a head coach that looked like he was going to get fired. Looks like Brian Daboll is going to get fired. So in this game, I think Chicago wins. I think they win it by double digits. I think they carry the momentum they got from last week. And the Bears, Ben Jones is I think he might be changing the culture a little bit in Chicago, because in other years, that's probably a loss. After blowing a 14-point lead with under 2 minutes to go last week, that's a loss in other years for the Bears, but they were able to get up off the mat, come back and win that game. Caleb Williams, he's been up and down this year, but I think he's played well. Even though he's had his bad moments, the second half against the Vikings, the Ravens game, he had some bad moments, but I think all in all, he's played well this year. I think he continues to, and I think if DeAndre Swift plays, he rushes for over 100 yards, because the Giants are so bad against the run. They are so bad. 30th in the NFL against the run. They're so bad against the run. And I think Jackson Dart tries to keep him in it, but I just think this coaching staff and this team around Jackson Dart right now is absolutely terrible. It's absolutely terrible. That's why I think the Bears win it by double digits. I got the Bears here 28-17 over the Giants. But Justin and Jackson Dart carry the Giants this week and help them end their 3-game losing streak.
Didn't they keep it close? They got the Bears 27-23. Yeah, about Jane Bowen. Usually a desperate coach in Dable's shoes would get rid of the coordinator and just, you're very desperate. You got to try to find something to, start to try to win games. So I am surprised he hasn't made that move yet. But I'm with you with Ben Johnson changing the culture. Like that is a game the last couple of years the Bears would have found a way to lose, blowing that game late. So and coming back down and scoring touchdown. So I do think the culture changing there. The offense has played pretty well. I do think the Giants are going to have success offensively because I still don't think the Bears defense is that great. I know they're a little bit banged up, but I do think Dart plays well and he keeps them in it. But yeah, Kyle Monungai, the 7th-round pick out of Rutgers. They may have found something in him last week, and I do think he has got a big game on the ground. I do think he'd be the difference maker, but I also could see Caleb Williams make a turnover and keeping the Giants in it here. But at home, I like the way the Bears are playing, and I do think they pull out a close one at home.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the Giants being in this game, but they haven't won a road game all year. They have not won a road game all season long. They're 0 and 5 on the road. They're 0 I think it's 0 and 5. They're 0 and 5 on the road. They're 0 and 5 on the road. So I don't see the Giants. I just don't see them winning a road game. I don't see them winning a road game. I know Chicago is vulnerable. I know because of their defense, their defense isn't that good. But offensively, they're a good team. Offensively, and I think they're well coached. Because a lot of these games they won. The Raider game, the Washington game, both those games they won by 1 point. Other years, those are not wins for the Bears. And this year they have been. I think the big reason has been Ben Johnson. That's why I just don't see a coach that needs to be fired in Brian Daboll winning this game. And I don't see a defensive coordinator in Shane Bowen who needs to be fired, holding this team to under 24 points. I just don't see it. That's why I see the Giants losing again on Sunday against the Bears.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for the defense to bounce back and, hopefully, they can make a couple of stops here. But, yeah, the way the Bears are playing, I think they're averaging over to 27 points a game this year, 26, 27. And last year they couldn't even get to 20 points a game. So he's made a difference at offense. I was a little worried after that Monday night game against the Vikings where they played so well for 3 quarters and kind of fell apart there in the fourth. So he's done a good job, Ben Johnson, turn the ship around here. And, I do think the way, Caleb Williams has had his good moments. He'll make his mistakes or two. But yeah, just with the Bears banged up defensively, I still don't think they're a great defensive team. I do think Dart's going to keep you in it. I do think he could scramble around, make some plays, and he's going to have to be a huge part of your rushing of your ground game now. And I think he could do that, but I just don't think they're going to be able to outscore Chicago on the road.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I think the Bears are going to go to 6-3, and the Giants are going to go to 2-8. Now we have an interesting matchup in Minnesota as the Ravens take on the Vikings, and I think that this is going to be it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a high scoring game, but I think the Ravens are going to win it. I think Derrick Henry is going to play well. I think that Lamar Jackson is going to throw a couple touchdowns. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to keep him in it, but if it's Lamar Jackson against J.J. McCarthy, I got to go with the 2-time MVP here. Even though he's on the road, I got to go with the 2-time MVP here. And that's why I got the Ravens going to 4-5 and the Vikings falling to 4-5. I got the Ravens here 28-24 over the Vikings. But Justin, can J.J. McCarthy have another can J.J. McCarthy lead the Vikings to their second straight win?
I think they keep it close, but I got the Ravens here 30-27. JJ looked pretty good last week against Detroit. I was kind of surprised at the way he looked there. And Brian Flores' defense, they got after Goff and made him uncomfortable. But I think if you try to do that to Lamar, come after him, he's just going to take off his legs. And I think that could be a huge difference in this one. I do think Lamar spreads it around, plays pretty well, and this offense has a pretty good game, on the ground and through the air. And I do think J.J. McCarthy keeps him in it. But just, I'm with you. I got to take Lamar Jackson over J.J. McCarthy. If this thing comes down to the last few possessions here. So I'm going to take the Ravens to win a close one on the road and get to 4-5.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game between those two teams on Sunday. Now we got the game tomorrow night between the Broncos and the Raiders. And I do think maybe the Raiders keep it close early on, but in the second half, the Broncos take over. I think they shut down Ashton Jeanty. They forced Geno Smith to turn the ball over a couple times. Bo Nix throws a couple touchdowns. I got the Broncos here by 2 scores. I got them 27-13. But Justin, can Geno Smith lead the Raiders to a huge upset win in Denver?
No, I got the Broncos as well, 28-13. Vegas just played an overtime game, and now you got a short week going on the road playing in altitude. So I could see the Raiders keeping this thing close for a half, but not much more than that. The last two road games for Vegas, they've been outscored 71 to 6. So not played great in the road. Broncos going for the 10th straight home win. I think Bo Nix plays well, and Raiders, their chance, Geno's got to get the ball to Brock Bowers because he was a beast last week, and they need to have another big game.
Yeah, they do. They do. That's pretty much the case. Like, he's got to get the ball to Brock. Brock Bowers is one of the best tight ends in the league. Unfortunately, he's on a really bad team. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. And Geno's got to get the ball to him, but I just don't see them just the Raiders doing enough. I just think there's going to be a couple turnovers. And I think the Broncos, who are looking like we're right there with the Bills, and the Colts is one of the top three teams in the AFC. And the Patriots are up there too, but I think it's Broncos, Colts, and Bills look like the top three teams in the AFC this year, and I think they win their 7th in a row here. I think they win their 7th in a row, beating the Raiders. They have to do it. This is a must win. I think this is close and competitive, but I think the difference in this game is going to be I think C.J. Stroud makes less mistakes. I think this Texans pass rush, gets pressure on Trevor Lawrence, is forced him to make a couple mistakes. And that's why I'm going to go with the Texans to get revenge from week 3. I'm going to go with the Texans here. I got the Texans 20-17 over the Jaguars. But Justin, can Lawrence and the Jags continue to keep pace with the Colts in the AFC South?
I think they do if CJ Stroud does not play. If it's Davis Mills playing quarterback for Houston, I do. So I have the Jaguars right now 20-16. Not sure if Stroud's gonna be out of concussion protocol by then. That first meeting, the Texans turned the ball over 3 times, and that was a big difference in that one. I Jags did Jags played pretty well last week. I know they're banged up right now. On the offensive side of the ball, and the Texas defense has been playing phenomenal. But if it's Davis Mills, I think Trevor Lawrence just outplays Davis Mills enough. He makes a couple more plays than Davis Mills does through the air. I know they may not have Brian Thomas as well, but maybe Jacoby Myers, who they just got, can step up, be a difference maker right away for this team. So I'm gonna go the Jags in a close one, 2016.
Yeah, they did. Jags did make a key trade yesterday, trading for Jacoby Myers, especially and that's going to help with Travis Hunter out. So that was a key trade for the Jaguars, going out and getting Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, it is. Like to pick up. I know they got it, especially with Hunter out, Thomas out, they need some depth there. So I didn't mind that one. I think he could kind of step up and be a big help to Trevor Lawrence. They got a couple guys down right now.
Yeah, I think definitely can be. I think he absolutely can be. Now we got a match. We got a matchup in the AFCs between the Bills and the Dolphins, and I don't think this is much of a game. The Dolphins fired Chris Greer after the game on Thursday night. I think Mike McDaniel is going to be out with him at the end of the season, and I think this is going to be a big Bills win here. I know this James Cook is questionable in the game, but I don't think it matters. I think Josh Allen has a huge day. I think the Bills defense, forces a couple turnovers from Tua, and I think the Bills win here and they win big. I got the Bills 31-10 over the Dolphins. But Justin, can the Dolphins get revenge from week 3 and pull off a big upset over the Bills?
No, I got Buffalo too, 34-13. This should be a blowout. I don't see a letdown happening for the Bills this week. Josh Allen's like 14-2 against the Dolphins, with averaging 3 touchdowns a game, and the team's averages 32 points a game. So, in his time against Miami. So I think they run it up this week. I think they play a really good game, and 2 in that offense. I think it's gonna be another rough afternoon for them. And I think they make a couple plays, but just not enough. And this Bill team they just tear them up on the ground. And I don't think you're gonna need Josh Allen's arm to do much in this one.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they will either. We got a matchup of 2 bad teams in the AFC between the Browns and the Jets. The Jets pretty much, had their fire sale yesterday. The Browns are struggling at 2-6. There's a good chance you'll see Shador at the end of the season, the way their offense is played. But I think in this game they end up winning it because I think Christian Jenkins gets enough yards on the ground. I think Dylan Gabriel manages the game. I think it comes down to the end where this Browns defense makes a stop. And that's why I got the Browns going to 3-6, Jets going to 1-8. I got the Browns winning 23-17. Justin, who you got here?
Yeah, I got the Browns as well, 20-15. You could not pay me to go watch these 2 teams play football.
Yeah.
This is gonna be ugly. And I think Myles Garrett is I think he, coming off, 5 sacks in his last game against the Patriots. I think he gets after Justin Fields, and I think he has another huge day in this one. And I think Quinshon Judkins as well makes a difference on the ground. And I'm going to take the Browns to win an ugly football game on the road.
Yeah, I think they do as well. I think the Browns win here ugly. We got an NFC South matchup between the Saints and Panthers. These two teams are going in two different directions. Saints are one of the worst teams in football. The Panthers, they could be competing for a while. Card Spot got a huge win last week in Green Bay, and I think the momentum continues. I think the run game with Rico Dabble, I think Bryce Young throws a couple touchdowns. I think they forced a couple turnovers from Tyler Shuck, who struggled in his first start. I'm going with the Panthers here. I'm going with the Panthers 28-17 over the Saints. But Justin, can Tyler Shuck win his first NFL start?
No, I'm with you here. I got the Panthers 21-16. The Panthers, they want to be kind of in that playoff conversation. This is a game you got to win at home against a division team that's not very good. Tyler Shuck, I thought, made a couple of plays last week, but made some mistakes as well. Tough spot now to back-to-back road games here. And I just think Rico Dowdle in that running game is going to be tough to stop for the Saints. And they haven't needed Bryce Young to do a ton, and I think he just does enough in this one. And Derek Brown up front on the defensive side of the ball has been a force. So I think the Panthers right now, the way they're playing, should get this one at home.
They definitely should. Now, one of the bigger games in Week 10, and that's between the Rams and the 49ers. 49ers beat them back in they upset them back in Week 5 with a bunch of injuries. Niners still really banged up going into the game, but Christian McCaffrey played really well this week. But I do think the Rams, contain McCaffrey this week, and he'll have his yards. I think they contain him. But I do think Mac Jones plays pretty well. I think he has they hang in there with him, but I just don't think he plays as well as Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford continues to play well. Right now, the Rams are arguably the best team. The way they're playing right now, they're arguably the best team in the NFC right now at 6-2, leading their division. And I think it's a close competitive game, but I think Stafford and that pass rush makes the difference. I think that pass rush with Jared Verse, with Byron Young, with Kobe Turner makes a play at the end of the game. That's why I got the Rams going to 7-2, Niners going to 6-4. I got the Rams winning this game 27-21. But Justin, can the Niners do what they did in Week 5 and sweep the Rams?
No, I got the Rams too, 28-21. I really love the way the Rams are playing, and the weakest part of the Rams team right now might be their kicker. Like, there's not many holes, on this team, and they won three straight games here by at least 14 points or more. Matthew Stafford should be the winner right now with the MVP. If this season right now, he should be the MVP. 21 touchdowns to 2 INTs. I think that passing attack does enough. And the Rams did a really good job last time of slowing down Christian McCaffrey. I think they do a pretty good job again. And I do think the Rams do enough here on the road in the division. It's against San Fran, who's been feisty. They have so many injuries. I think they keep it close, but I just think the Rams are the better football team.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Niners this year, a bunch of if they were healthy, I'd put them up there with the Rams and the Seahawks in the NFC West. But I know they beat the Giants last week, but that's not a great accomplishment. But yeah, I think that with Boza and Warner being out, and Ayuk, they are going to get Ayuk back. They're going to get Purcell back, so they're going to get guys back, and they're going to get Purdy back too. So they're going to get guys back, but I just don't think they're good enough defensively. I just don't think they're talented enough defensively. If they had Boza and Warner, I'd put it because I know they have beaten the Seahawks and the Rams on the road, but I just think there's too many injuries to that defense for them to keep pace with those two teams. And that's why I think the Rams get revenge here. If they were healthy, I think you could argue the Niners could have been maybe the favorite to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC, but they just aren't healthy. So I think the Niners are a playoff team, but I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. But the Rams, I think they're absolutely a Super Bowl contender. You could argue right now they might be the best team in the NFC.
Yeah. With the Rams, I put them in the Bucks right now, 1-2. And when the Bucks get healthy, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. And why I'm so high on the Niners going the years, they had one of the easier schedules, but they haven't been healthy. And I figured they get some luck, the injury luck back on their side this year, but it just had to happen. Like Mac Jones has played better than I thought he would. And since taking over Purdy, with Purdy being out, so. Mac Jones has played well. I think Shannon's doing a good job of kind of keeping this team kind of on the tracks here and not totally derailing. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one this weekend going to Rams. I'm with you. I think this Rams team has talent when they're healthy, and I think going the year I had them as a 1 seed just because I thought with that schedule, it was manageable, but to pull off. But yeah, with all the injuries, it's kind of it's changed some things for San Francisco.
It definitely has. The injuries have definitely changed things for San Fran. And the Rams right now, they're looking like they got a good chance to get to San Francisco and get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, because they're, to me, it's hard for me in the top of the NFC. I mean, I got the Rams there. I got, Tampa yet to put up there. Philly still because they're the defending champs. The Lions, they're in the mid. The Lions and Packers are contenders to me, but they haven't been as good as I thought they were going to be. And then the team we're going to talk about next. I mean, Seattle, they got to be up there with the way their defense is playing. Now, do you trust their quarterback in the postseason? No, but the way that defense is playing and the way Jackson Smith-Njigba has, emerged as the number one receiver and the way they've ran the football, you have to put them in that conversation too. So yeah, the Rams are in that conversation. They're in that bubble in the NFC with to me, they're in that Super Bowl bubble, the Super Bowl contending bubble with like 5 teams in the NFC. They're in that bubble with the with the Eagles, with the Bucks, with the Packers. I have to put the Seahawks in there too, with the Seahawks and the Lions. So they're in that bubble. They're in that bubble right there, the Rams. So they're in really, really good shape. And the 49ers, they'd have them in that bubble, but with the injuries, I just can't put them in
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. I agree with those 5 teams that you got in there, and yeah, I'd have the Niners in there, but there's just too many injuries. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't really have any gripes. Your top 5 there. I have the same, and because yeah, with the Eagles, the way they're trying to play here with the Packers, we've already talked about could be up and down. The Lions, I maybe like if the Bucks are all healthy going to January, I'd probably put them number 1. But it's tough to go against Stafford, who I know has already done it, where Baker hasn't done it yet. But yeah, I think the top 5. I think it's be very interesting NFC playoffs because I think a lot of those teams are very evenly matched.
very evenly matched. I think the 6 teams I mentioned, yeah, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Eagles, the Packers, the Lions, and the Bucks. Those 6 teams, I think they're all very evenly matched. So it's gonna be a very, very, very interesting NFC playoffs. It's gonna be very interesting NFC playoffs. Now, speaking of the Seahawks, they host the Cardinals this week, and the Cardinals are going to go to Jacoby Brissett again this week against the Seahawks. Seahawks look really impressive in prime time. Really, really impressive in prime time. Beating the Commanders 38-14 on Sunday Night Football. They looked really impressive, and I think they continue to look good. I think Sam Darnold continues to play well. I think they continue to put up points. I do think Jacoby Brissett plays well, but at the end of the day, I think the Seahawks defense forces a big turnover from him. And I'm going to go with the Seahawks here. I got the Seahawks 27-20 over the Cardinals. But Justin, can Jacoby Brissett lead the Cardinals to their second straight win?
No, I got the Seahawks too in this one, 24-16. The Cardinals offense looked great on Monday night against Dallas, but who hasn't looked good against that Cowboys defense this year? And
Exactly.
I do think Arizona's defense is starting to play a bit better. But Sam Darnold, he's averaging over 9 yards per attempt, so he's taking some shots. And Jackson Smith-Njigba has been a big part of that. So I do think Sam Darnold continues to play well in this game. And I do think Arizona has some success in this one, but I just think their defensive front is going to take over. They're going to get after Jacoby Brissett. They're going to get a couple sacks here, and because I think they got 6 in the first meeting. I think they could get 5 or 6 to get again in this one. So I'm going to take Seattle. I know they haven't played as well at home as they have on the road here, but I'm going to take them here to get one up in Seattle.
Yeah, it is weird that Seattle has not played as well at home than they have on the road. And the big story coming into this game is not Seattle. It's actually Arizona, who they're playing at quarterback. Your man Jacoby Brissett looks like the Cardinals are going to stick with him for the rest of the. It looks like they're going to stick with him for the rest of the year. Yeah, they're saying stuff about Kyler Murray, but it's a little weird there. I think the Kyler Murray and the Cardinals could be heading towards a divorce. I think this could be it for Kyler Murray in Arizona, and I think they're sticking with Jacoby Brissett. And the offense has played better with Jacoby Brissett. Trey McBride. It seems like he has a better connection with Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. probably was the best we've seen him play. I know they played against the Cowboys defense, but it's the best we've seen him play on Monday night. Trey McBride's played better with Jacoby Brissett. It looks like the Cardinals are going to Jacoby Brissett for the rest of the season. The way Jonathan Gannon's talking. Yeah, I know they're trying to say, "Oh, Kyler." He said after the game, Kyler's a starter. I don't know. I think they're going with Jacoby Brissett from what I've been hearing.
That's what it seems like. They're going with Brissett, which is interesting. But yeah, Jacoby Brissett has played pretty well, and I think with Murray, he's been banged up a lot in his career, and I don't know if that's kind of part of maybe why he hasn't played as well. And he is smaller. Like he's not, he's 5'10", 5'11", so it's tough. And Brissett's played pretty well the last couple of games. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Because the thing with the Cardinals is they they have weapons. And Marvin Harrison had one of his better games in his career. So Trey McBride turned into one of the better tight ends. I know they're banged up at running back, but yeah, Brissett's played pretty well, and they played better the last couple of weeks. And late in the game, the Cardinals have blown a lot of them, and you wonder too if they just don't totally trust Kyle Murray. But yeah, it seems like they're going to head towards a divorce here with Kyle Murray, because I'm not totally shocked that it's going to end this way, but it's risky if the GM's not on board with this. But people rather have Kyler in there because you did pay him all that money. But it's we'll see. We'll see how it pans out.
I think you got to ride the hot hand, though. I think you got to ride the hot hand. And Brissett's the hot hand right now. He's the hot hand. The offense has been better with Jacoby Brissett. And this coach, Jonathan Gannon, I don't think he's safe after this year. If he has a bad year, there's a good chance he gets fired. So I think Jonathan Gannon's got to ride the hot hand here. But now it might not work for him, especially playing in this division. I mean, they still got to play they got the Seahawks this week. They still got another game with the Niners, even though they're banged up, and they still got, I think, 2 games with the Rams. So it might backfire on him, but I think you got to go with the hot hand. And I think right now, I think he's making the right move, sticking with Jacoby Brissett. He announced it immediately. He didn't even wait with Kyler Murray. He announced it immediately that Jacoby Brissett was going to start.
Yeah, he did. And, that's a good point, too. Is, he's to Josh Brown on the line, and there was some expectation for the team to make the playoffs right now.
Oh, I had him going to the playoffs. I had him going because I like Walter Nolan. I like the moves they made, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, and I thought Marvin Harrison would take the next step. And he's looking like he's been better with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, he has. So, there were some expectations of this Cardinals team, and I had them just missing out because I didn't totally trust them. And they got to learn how to win some games, and they did on Monday night, and they got to win some of these close ones. But yeah, with your job on the line, you're going to stick with the guy that's going to give you the best shot. And Jacoby Brissett's looks like the guy that gives them the best shot of winning right now. And it's a tough schedule down the stretch. We see they can get in, but I also think their defense is playing better the last couple weeks as well. So I think that's helped, and they trust Brissett more. Because Murray will make that bad interception.
He will. Kyler Murray will throw that bad. You know that Kyler Murray will throw that bad pick. He will. He makes his plays. I'll give him that. But he will throw that bad interception. So yeah, I think that the Cardinals are making the right move. We'll see if it works on Sunday against the Seahawks. Now we'll wrap up the show talking about the Steelers and the Chargers as they meet up this week they meet up this week in LA. And I think this is a close competitive game. But I think the difference for the Chargers is Joe Alt being out. And I think this is going to be a huge loss for this team. This loss could very easily be the reason why this team misses the playoffs. This loss could very, very easily be the reason why this team misses the playoffs, because they still got to go to Kansas City. They still got to go to Denver. So those are two brutal games. They still got this game coming up that I don't think they're going to win. So this definitely could be the loss that hurts them. This could be the loss that cost them a playoff spot. And I think they still got the Eagles too later on in the season. They still got to go to Philly. So I think this is the loss right here. This is the loss that very, very easily could cost them a playoff spot, and that's why they think they lose this week. I think that Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn the ball over. I think he makes less mistakes than Justin Herbert, because I think the pressure that's going to be on Justin Herbert is going to be there, like it's been all year. That it's been like it was every game since Joe Alt has been out. I think the pressure is going to be there. I think he's going to turn the ball over a couple times. I think Aaron Rodgers protects the football in this game. That's why I'm going Steelers, and that's going to be a pro Steeler crowd in LA. It's going to be a pro Steeler crowd there. I'm going Steelers here. I'm going Steelers 24-20. But Justin, can Herbert get the Chargers to 7-3?
I do think they get it 23-21. Herbert's been playing well. I know the Joe Alt injury is huge, and I'm selling my stock the rest of the year with the Chargers. Because I think Joe Alt's a huge difference maker on that offensive line, and in what they want to do, and the physicality that they have. So for me, that Steelers defense answered the call last week, and I don't know if I can still trust them yet for them to do it 2 weeks in a row. I know they're going to send pressure after Herbert. They might get home a couple times, but I'll take Herbert to find a way, the way he's been playing, to do enough in this one, because I just still don't trust the Steelers defense enough. I wouldn't be shocked to see us go out there, because, you mentioned it. There's going to be 40,000 terrible towels out there. It's going to be a Steelers home game. I'm going to be shocked if Pitt wins it. I just have to see it first to see them go out there 2 straight weeks, because it's an older defense. I know they have it. They got something. TJ Watt had a good game last week. They needed that, but I'm gonna take the Chargers slightly here at home.
Yeah, it'll be close. It'll be close. It'll be close. But I just think that the Chargers without Joe Alt are really going to struggle. Like they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle. And they're going to struggle all year. They're going to struggle all year. And let me tell you, if everything was healthy, it was in place, and the Chargers were healthy, to me they'd be they're kind of the Niners of the AFC. Them and the Niners are similar because their team they would be Super Bowl contenders to me if they were healthy. But they're just not. Neither team is healthy, so I can't see the Chargers. And here's the other thing about the Chargers: you can't trust the quarterback is good. Herbert's good. You can't trust Herbert in a big spot. You can't. So I'm going Steelers here 24-20 to beat the Chargers on Sunday night in LA. But that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. But we will be back in about 15 minutes to talk about the first unveiling, the first reveal of the college football playoff rankings. So make sure you tune in for that.